everybody. Welcome to Pealed Back's LiveCast Conversations with special milestone episode 50. I can't believe we've made it to 50 so far. And today's guest is the first guest that we ever had, Tom Broxham. Tom is the founder of Broxham-Network, where he focuses on helping people build a strong network of relationships to support their desires. His motto is, today's connection is tomorrow's opportunity. He's a public speaker, facilitator, avid outdoorsman, father, and a cheesecake lover. He gives people the ability to network confidently by showing them the necessary skills to make connections and gain opportunities anywhere. These are the same skills he's used to make himself a more comfortable and confident networker. Some of these very skills have helped him gain confidence and a sense of trust, which were all taken from him after his bullies tried to drown him at the age of 8 and 13. These incidences happened after already a drowning accident at the age of 3, where his dad had to perform CPR on him. Public speaking, swimming, and connecting with people were all the skills learned as an adult. These were three of the biggest fears he had to overcome. Instead of shying away from them, these fears, he faced them and turned them into his passions. Tom, thanks so much for being part of this journey this entire way through, brother.
No worries, Gene. It's good to be here.
It's great to have you. And Henry, he wasn't as active on the first episode.
No, and back then, like he wasn't. I don't even think he was crawling then. No, he definitely wasn't crawling then or anything. So it was a little easier to manage him compared to now, where it's Daddy doesn't really get 5 minutes apiece anymore.
He's giving you 5 minutes of peace. Well, we're gonna have to let him in on the secret. That never happens.
Sometimes I get 5 minutes apiece, and sometimes I just have to put headphones on or something. And yeah. Early on, I remember he was crying really bad the one day, and I was like, "Oh, I can't take this. I don't know what to do." And I put my noise canceling headphones on. And then Anna looked at me. She goes, "I don't know whether to be really angry with you or really impressed." And she told her friends, and her friends were like, "Really impressed, really impressed."
Like he's hacked the matrix. He's figured it out.
Like it's funny at first when you go to somebody else's place that have kids and you hear them crying and screaming, you might be like, "Oh man, like how do you deal with this?" And but like once you're a parent and you have to deal with it on a daily basis, it sometimes it just kind of drowns it out,
Oh
unless
yeah.
you're really exhausted that day.
There is a certain superpower about being a parent and being able to be like, they're making all the noise and it's just like drown it right out, because that's sometimes the quickest route to sanity. Is like sometimes you just gotta let them make the noise and have those opportunities to make noise.
Yeah, sometimes you have to, and other times it's I might just lie down on the ground because I'm completely exhausted, but then he'll come over and he'll start hitting me on the back. I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting a mini massage. All right, cool." It only lasts for like a few seconds, but
But you take what you can get. So it's been quite the
yeah.
journey you've had, like since when we had the first episode. That was back in October, I think, when I was just like, "Hey, man, you want to jump on a live cast?" And you're like, "Right now? Yeah, sure, let's do it." Tell us a little bit about what things have changed, obviously, for you being now a work from home dad. Where's life taking you, Tom?
Oh man, and I remember that call too because you're like, I I want to do this live cast, and I want to do it now. Uh, yeah, sure. I'll jump on. As I was at my in-laws' place, I'm like, yeah, I'll just sure, let's go. Let's have a little chat. And so at the time, I was still working full time in accounting, and I don't even know how far along I was in this journey. I can't quite remember then. I think I was just starting to work with Michael Philpott, or
Yeah.
it was close to that time frame. And then after that, a couple months later on, I gave my notice to quit to become a full-time stay-at-home dad. And yeah, it was back then, like I wasn't as consistent as I am on LinkedIn now, and it was just very inconsistent. Wasn't quite sure where I was going with things, what I was doing compares to now, where I know exactly where I'm going and what I'm doing with this journey. But even this past 8 months, trying to figure out where am I going, how am I doing this, how do I do this with while looking after a kid. And at times it's challenging because I want to be able to connect with people and I want to be able to do different aspects, but there's times where you just can't do it.
Yeah.
And several months ago, I'm like, I'm just going to spend the time on LinkedIn, growing my network, growing my brand, and being more involved on there. Um, and a couple months later on, I joined TikTok and was doing a little bit on there. Every now and then, I'd be on TikTok and be like, "All right, I'm going to have a chance to talk in 45 minutes. Yeah, sure. Let's see how this goes." And sometimes, just when I was just about to start talking, that's when my son would wake up and start fussing or crying. I'm like, "Well, guess I'm not going to talk now." Other times, I'd be in a smaller room and I'd get my opportunity to talk, and then I'm running across the house just so I can have 5 seconds to be like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah," and speak my peel before I'd stop, right? But yeah, it's been interesting watching TikTok and some of these other new audio platforms that are coming up, and the communities that I'm seeing that they come up overnight, and some of them are disappearing overnight as well too.
Yeah.
And
Like Clubhouse is a
it's
prime example of that, right?
yeah, it's sad seeing how incredible some of the communities were that were being built up. And this is typical what happens with networking, especially when people are looking for work. They spend all their time connecting, building up all this momentum, and they're connecting with lots of people. They're doing lots of community outreach, and they're just building everything up. They get that job, they stop everything.
Yeah.
All that momentum they've been building up, the whole community they've been working towards, they stop. And I see this time and time again. And so I'm still building up my community, running networking events, trying to do networking events. A couple months ago, I decided I'm going to start doing coffees with my son and seeing how it goes. I was just looking for and just seeing how it goes. And so I've taken him out on a couple coffees with me to meet different clients and stuff. And sometimes he'll be able to sit there for 15 minutes before he loses it. Other times I might be able to get 30, 45 minutes of him sitting there behaving. I'm like, oh, okay, we're good. We can do this.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting. And one of the important things, like when you're a parent, is the community that you have behind you. And a lot of people don't think about that, but that is what networking is. It's about building relationships and
Yeah.
building up communities. So I've joined a couple stay-at-home dad groups. The first one I joined was Australia, New Zealand stay-at-home dads. And as soon as I posted on there, there was a guy in the Wairarapa, the area that I live in, and he sent a message saying, "Oh, you're in the Wairarapa. You need to join my stay-at-home dads group." So I've joined that one since. I've been part of that community. And so they do a coffee once a month, and then they'll go do bushwalks and different other elements.
Oh, cool.
But they're really supportive of each other because although stay-at-home dads are more and more out there, it's still kind of hidden back there. You don't see as many as out there. And so a lot of the stay-at-home dads are very supportive of each other,
Yeah.
really concerned with how we are doing mentally, and just really trying to keep touch with how everybody's going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had a busy few months of um, starting different things up, trying to build up other aspects, and yeah, half the time I don't even know what I'm doing or where I've gone.
Well, I think that's definitely part of the journey though, man. Like that's a huge part of it going. As I remember, like when you made the official jump back in January, you're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but I don't know where this might go, but here's what I'm gonna do to start to find out is like you had to go off and sample all these things. Like you sampled Clubhouse, you've sampled TikTok, and you keep coming back to LinkedIn where you're building what I think is a thriving community of like supporters and people that you're connecting with. You just did a LinkedIn webinar on how to optimize your LinkedIn, and that wouldn't have happened without the work of connecting and focusing on those relationships and tomorrow's opportunity, right?
All the like I've done two webinars this year with different people, and a lot of those people I've just connected with in the last year. Now, the last one that I did, we just connected a few months ago, and he sent the message to me being like, "Hey, do you want to do a webinar with me?" Okay, yeah, sure. And it's so here I am living in New Zealand, but I'm from Canada originally, and Arkham. he's living in Russia, but he's from Sri Lanka. And sometimes this is what people don't think about when it comes to building up these relationships is they'll be like, oh, I only want to connect with people in this area or here. But you never know where this person could be tomorrow.
Yeah.
A few months ago, I jumped on a call from a girl in the US in Florida. And as we were chatting, she goes, oh, you need to talk to this guy, Vince. And then I looked him on LinkedIn, and he lives in Wellington. He's in my neighborhood. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so I had to talk to someone in the US to connect with someone in my own backyard.
That's
You
kind of
never
how it
know.
works.
Yeah, you never know where you'll meet somebody, how you'll meet them, and it's important just to go and build up different relationships.
Yeah.
Now, recently, I was talking to you about 100, the power of 100, and I've talked to a couple people about this.
Yeah. Please
And
share
so
that.
you can go and connect with 10,000 people, right? But you're really not going to connect with 10,000 people. If I go and add 10,000 people by the end of this year, or like within a few months, how many relationships can you really build up with that 10,000? You can't. And I see this all the time where people are on LinkedIn and they're connecting with thousands of people and as many as they can, but they're not actually engaging with them. They're not sending them messages. They might not even be viewing their content.
Yeah.
Now, think about this. If you connect with 100 people and each of those 100 people are connected with 100 different people, that's going to be 10,000 people. And that's the power of networking. Like 100 people you're connected with, you don't know who they are connected with and how many people you might be able to connect with, you know? And it's really amazing. Like once you start to really connect with people on a deeper level, how far that relationship can go. A lot of people only think about it is that one level of what can I get out of this? What can I get today? And it's not about what you can get today. Think about as building like having a fruit tree. You plant the tree today, you're not going to get anything out of it. You plant that, you nurture it, you grow it. What are you going to get out of it a year from now, 2 years from now? Over a lifetime, you'll get a lot more out of it. But if you're trying to harvest it right away, there's nothing to harvest.
Well, it lines right up with I think I tagged you in one of the posts from Rory Vaden as well. It talks about like taking the stairs route, is like putting in the hard work today so that life can be easier tomorrow. And that's like part of it. And it's also another metaphor that he was using in that whole episode as well. Is like life goes in seasons, and this is the season to
Yeah.
nurture and take care of that, and then eventually you'll get to a point where there can be a harvest, and then you got to start that process all over again, right? Like it's a never ending set of cycles that you have to go through to build up these relationships and actually put value out first, to be like, look, I'm not here to sell you, I'm here to connect with you. I want to know you. I want to be able to say, hey, I've got this guy from New Zealand that's been on my podcast twice, and a couple other. I think you're my most collaborated YouTube person on my YouTube channel now, right? So like, that would have never happened if we hadn't just like started talking. And I want to like share an example of something that came up today in my LinkedIn. Is a gentleman who was a coach of coaches. There's lots of them out there. Reached out and
Yeah.
was just like, hey, here's like instantly, here's my pitch. And I just kind of replied with, hey, like, I'm not looking to bring on any coaches for myself right now. I'm got some other things going on that we're working on. But if you'd still like to connect on a call and get to know each other, be happy to it. He's like, oh, thanks for the candor, everything else. But no, like, was like a nice little soft, no, I don't want to connect. I'm here to sell. I'm just like, I'm never reaching back out to you. Like that's just not
Yeah.
going to happen. Like, you had an opportunity to build a relationship. Who knows if I would have known somebody that would have been a direct connection to make an introduction to, but because there's no relationship, be like, I'm not here to do transactions. I'm here for relationships. And that's the interesting part that I take away from the concept of networking, is like, as a computer guy, I'd be like, I know what networking is about, networking to make this all happen. But like networking as like in between people, it's like, that's a really like a new concept, but it's really just like a new way of saying building your community.
What are you doing? The joys of being a parent, It is like so many people when they look at networking, they only think about it as what can I get out of it, and okay, I'm looking for work or looking for clients, or what you'll get is the if they're just going to throw out their business card to every single person, they might as well just be throwing it in the garbage. And other people, the first thing they do when they connect with you on LinkedIn is they want to sell you. It's like,
Yeah.
no, don't try to sell to me. Or do you want to jump on a call? I'm like, well, no, I don't particularly want to jump on a call right now because, well, I can't. And like, you don't need to connect with someone right away. Like, one thing you can do is just go and, all right, I'm going to take a link of their URL. I'm going to save it. I'm going to start connecting with and engaging with their content. After I've engaged with that 5 to 10 times and left some good value added comments, not just nice share, uh, then go and try to connect with them. All of a sudden, now you've got a rapport built up with them already. And I'll remember that name. Like when I see someone and I've seen them comment on 4 or 5 of my posts, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly who that is. Or I might even start commenting on their posts as well, too. So now you got a rapport being built up.
Yeah.
And what was it about? It was just about connecting with someone, you know? Like, so when I worked with Michael Philp on like he was my speaker coach, I had connected with him originally in, I think it was October 2017. And I only started working with him October last year. So I had known him for years, but I didn't work with him for years. And you never know, like someone, it might take them months, years until you actually work with them. You never know what can end up happening. But if you go and just, oh, I need this right away, it might not go over so well,
No, it's the
you
wrong
know?
approach, right? Like it's how do you do it? And it's yeah, I think you need to really in this day and age, if doing like what we do is like helping people and serving people, that has to come with like relationship first, value first, influence and trust, and then they're like, actually, you solved my problems. Let's do this. And it's a bit of a longer approach, but I believe that you have a much like you make fanatical supporters, fanatical like connections out of all those people. Like friend, like we're friends and we've never met in person, but like that's just those opportunities that are there. And like one thing to like preach to you is like I've watched you go through your evolution of like learning your voice and everything else, which we can get into a little bit. But like you get more engagement on your stuff now because of your approach to it than people that have like 75,000 followers on LinkedIn who get like 2 or 3 comments, maybe 14 reactions. Be like, you usually have a rich conversation of comments, and one thing that you're really good at is you engage in all those comments. You don't let them go by the side.
What ends up happening is if I go on there, like if I'm on LinkedIn and I see someone never responds to any comments, I won't engage with that person.
Yeah.
And like I try to engage with people that are engaging with other people. And there are times where someone engaged with my content, I'll go see who they are and likely I'll go and engage with their content as well too.
Yeah.
There are some people I engage with more because I see them more or because of um, what not what they're selling, but whether it's marketing or it's branding or there's something specific that I know I can learn about that I'm like, oh, this is really fantastic.
Yeah.
And so there are some people I engage with more than others. But I know some people will go on there and they only want to engage with people that are that they'll see like hundreds of comments on there and they'll see like thousands of reactions. So that's the one they want to engage with. But there's people that I engage with that have 1 or 2 comments on their post because you never know the what they're about. There's a couple influencers that I'm connected with, and the only reason why I'm connected with them is because of the engagement that we've had and the community that we've built up towards it.
Sorry. Yeah. Just trying to deal with a knock at the door and the dog barking there too. But you're right. Like it is about how you choose to do all that.
Hey,
What has
buddy,
been
you want
what's been your biggest takeaway, Tom, out of these last 8 months of like, because you've gone through a lot of like trialing and doing things to build out those relationships.
to? Still trialing it, still trying still building up relationships, still trying different things on LinkedIn and Instagram, and Uh, the biggest thing about it is it's the community that you build behind you, and you want people that are supporting you and that you're supporting.
Yeah.
So one of the clubhouse rooms that I go into still is it's a parenting room, and it's okay not to be okay. And I go there, and that's what people are doing. They're talking about the struggles they're going through right now. And sometimes you'll end up hearing the children in the background, and the host will be like, "No, don't worry about it. Like it's if all the rooms on Clubhouse, this is the one that you really don't need to worry about it." But the people that you have supporting you, that they're the ones that are there to help celebrate your wins and to pick you up when you fall. That's what makes a
Yeah.
difference. And like if you don't have those people with you, you're not going to get anywhere, and that's where you're going to really struggle.
Yeah.
And this is where one of the areas where people really struggle with networking, with connecting, is because they want that instant gratification and they're not going to get it. And it takes time to build up those relationships. Think about this: if let's say we're with one other guy who's single, and we're in a bar, and and that person goes up to they see a girl, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to get married?" Uh, no, that's a little awkward. And this is what happens at times. Like people will come up right away with networking. It's like, "Oh, can you give me this? How about we do this right away?" Who are you? Or the other thing that well you'll see happen on LinkedIn is someone will come up to me and say, can you recommend me to your peers and everybody else around because I need a job. Oh, I want to support you, but I don't know who you are offhand."
Yeah.
And let's go back to the bar scenario. It would be like going up to our friend, going up to another girl in the bar, being like, "Can you introduce me to one of your single friends? Although we've never met." Probably not. That's not going to go over so well,
Trust me,
you
I'm a
know?
great guy.
And you see these things all the time, and
Yeah.
it's one of those that you need to build up the relationship. You need to build up that community. It goes beyond networking. It's about building a community. Like
Yeah.
when you're a kid, it's called making friends. Suddenly, when you're an adult, it's not making friends. It's networking, and nobody wants to do it.
Maybe we should switch it all back to like we're just out here making friends. We're not networking. We're friend building. This is a
That's the difference.
friendship.
That's the difference. Is when you're actually making friends with people.
Yeah.
You know, if you're just trying to get the what you want out of it,
Yeah.
maybe you'll get it this time, but people will remember that as well too.
Yeah. Well, and it's like there's an old adage that people do business with friends. Like you want to work with your friends and help support your friends. So like if you're able to be out there and start to build like that focus of like I'm not trying to make a client, I'm trying to make a friend because they might know somebody who's a great connection who has needs my services or could really benefit from my help. I'll never meet them because they're a door away. They're a friend
Yeah.
away.
I was reading this one article, and it was a company trying to it was getting their all their employees to go out and really network. And so a lot of people that were in the sales, they were trying to do it. They weren't getting anywhere with this other company. And there was one person that was an introvert, and that person went to lunch with one of their friends and was then able to connect the two because of the friendship that they had. And the person wasn't trying to sell. They were just talking to their friend, being like, "Oh, I work for this company," and they, are looking for, and they had no problem doing it. And it
Yeah.
was multi-million-dollar company, and it was a huge sale for them. But it was because they weren't trying. They were just talking to their friend. It was about the relationship that they had built up. Like there's people I'm still connected with in Calgary, and some of them are executives, just because. And I just talk to them about whatever.
Yeah.
I know if I were to be in town tomorrow and say to them, "Look, I really need some help getting some work," they would have no problem going out of their way to help me find work.
Yeah. Because you made deposits into that trust bank and you built up a friendship and you built it up based on not a take but like a reciprocal experience.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it makes a difference.
Oh, big time. And as well like when you're out there doing the work like you've been doing. And I know that some days have been harder than others, is like putting the content out there, making those connections. Is like sometimes you're like, nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, lots of good things are actually happening. And it is it's a process, and you have to follow it, because sometimes you're going to do stuff, you're going to put out content or put out a message, and it doesn't hit, and then you put the same one out the next day, and it spikes like crazy. It's a bit of a game, and it's a bit of like, you got to have that confidence to be like, you got to be the guy in the bar that's willing to be like, hey, how's it going? I'm Gene. What's your name?
Well, when you think about creating content, it is tiring at times, and you're like, wow, why is nobody liking this? Why is nobody commenting on it? And what'll happen is you'll start comparing yourself to other people. And it's the worst thing to do, because you don't know that the help that they have, you don't know the experience that they have, you don't know anything that they're doing. You only know your own circumstances. And at times I want to create content, but with my son around, I might not be able to, or I might come out a little bit quicker. But there's times where I've gotten up in the morning and started writing through a post and started writing my copy. And then all of a sudden that post will do really well. And I put effort into it, but I haven't spent a lot of time on it. And other times I've spent hours on a video, doing lots of editing, doing lots of really neat things, and crickets. I'll get a few likes and comments, but overall it doesn't really hit. But what's interesting is I went to look through my analytics to see how are my posts really doing. And when I took a look at them, like the top 20 for likes and comments, it was about like 13, 12 for likes over comments. And I thought, okay, yeah. Or sorry, it was, yeah, 13, 12 for uh, posts over video. But then
Yeah.
I took a look at the engagement rate for the videos. And sometimes the videos might not be getting the best views, but the engagement rate was really high. My top 20 for engagement rate were all videos.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, they are doing that good. Okay, well, let's keep going with them then.
Yeah.
But like, if you're going to put out, if you think about a year and you're posting 3 to 5 times a week, how many times you're going to be posting that year? Like 200, 300
Yeah.
posts in a year. Oh, and yes, some of them will do well, some of them won't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Don't go and compare yourself to other people around. Only compare yourself to your own posts.
Right. And I
Sometimes,
because not everyone's got yours. No one else has your story. There are
yeah,
other people that talk about like networking and building community, but no one's got your story that has the ability to get the engagement in the way that your story does. And finding your voice takes practice. Like that doesn't just, you don't just like, all right, I'm going to come online and start being a social media expert, and I'm going to build this business. Be like, no, there's that first year is a grind to be like, what's my voice? What's the importance of this? Why am I doing this? Why do I keep showing up every Wednesday at 3 o'clock to interview? Now we're getting a little personal, but but like it's like learn to know that you have to practice your voice, and it's going to evolve, but power that to like, why do you keep showing up for you? Like what keeps you going when you're like, oh man, this gets a little hard sometimes.
my son, and just some of the knowledge that I have, and some of what I've gone through. Like, um, it it was not overnight that I was able to connect with networking. What's interesting about it too is that since I've been on this networking journey, I've healed wounds from when I was a little kid. Like when I had the near drowning experience, that affected every single relationship for the rest of my life. And it's only been the last few months that I've realized that how much effect that one incident had. I thought it was something else that happened, but it was that one incident that happened when I was a little kid that affected everything. And it wasn't until I was on this networking journey that I was able to heal wounds from when I was 8 years old.
Isn't that crazy? Did you ever think that was going to be a side effect of this?
No, like I didn't realize how much mental damage was done from that incident. Like I was bullied, and I always knew I was bullied, and it was something that was there, and I knew there were certain aspects of my life that um, that it affected, but I didn't realize how much it affected. You know, but like when you're 8 years old and your bullies tried to drown you, like that's going to affect your whole entire life.
Yeah.
Uh, Trust, communication, you know, trusting people and building relationships. What's networking? It's trusting people and building relationships.
Yeah.
What's affected when that happens? And being bullied as a kid, you become more introverted, and I ha- I tend to look over my back a lot, and part of that is it's just trust, especially if I'm out in public. If I'm walking down a busy street, I like to be up in front of people. I don't like having people behind me. When you're networking, you go to a networking event, what are you doing? You're going to a group of people and you have your back turned. I don't like having my back turned to people.
Yeah.
And it's some of it is my ADD, some of it is trust. And I've gotten a lot better with it, but it's all because of that incident that happened. Being in groups and trying to share who you are and trying to share your vulnerability can be quite it can be quite difficult and
Yeah.
intimidating, And that's something I would have never thought that I would be able to resolve um, from just, all right, I'm going to start connecting with people and seeing how I can do this better and what I can do to help other people out. Oh, wait, I've solved some of my own
Yeah.
childhood trauma. Oh, sweet.
It's interesting because I think like as you start working through your own stuff, your traumas and your experiences, it's just like, wow, it's just like this was a bad situation. How am I going to use this to help somebody? And if I'm going to use it to help somebody, that means I have to like get right with it. And then through that process, you get to take other people along that journey to help them to show, hey, look, you've spoken about the drowning and then overcoming that by starting to swim and get comfortable in the ocean and everything along those lines. Like that's that's a powerful metaphor and a set of stories for somebody else to go through going, I'm not alone, and B, be like, oh, he got through it. Well, and he's just a guy. That means I can get through it too.
Well, and a lot of what I used to help me become a better networker was from the swimming lessons that I had. And those swimming lessons were just because, and I took swimming lessons when I was in my 30s, and
Yeah.
I did that. I was like, I've had enough. I want to learn how to swim. I'm missing out on opportunities, so I want to be able to do this. And those same lessons are what I use for networking. Telling yourself, okay, it's okay not to be okay. Like just relax. We're going to be okay. Let's start doing some positive self-talk. All right. We're going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. Maybe get a little bit of music going if you can. I didn't have
Yes.
it then. I certainly do now. Give yourself a nice little dance break if you
You
can.
need a dance
You
break?
know, and that can make a difference. But it's that okay, I need to have that positive self-talk. Any negative things in there, they've got to go.
Yeah.
And as I sit at the edge of the pool and the fears are there, all I'm trying to do is just catch a right breath to push myself off. Before I go to networking events, what am I trying to do? Positive self-talk and wait to be able to push myself off to go
Yeah.
in. He's wrestling around with Ken. And just have the positivity be like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. And it makes such a difference having that positive self-talk.
Well, it's the more we speak to it, the more that we bring reality. We make it a reality, right? As we give it words, it bursts it into the world. So, yeah, we actually have a comment about our dance off here. It's like Mike's asking, what song do you personally like? What's your go-to like dance break song?
Oh man, there's a few, but there's before I run networking events, I do have a few songs that I specifically play. And one of them is and this isn't for dancing, this is just to get my mind set right.
Yeah.
It's Radioactive.
Ooh, by
So
Imagine Dragon.
yeah, when I was
Yeah.
traveling around the world, it was one of the first songs that traveled around with me. One second. It was a song that was traveling around with me. And what ended up happening was every country that I go to, I'd end up hearing the song, and I heard the song again and again and again. And I just liked the song anyways. But as the song was traveling around with me, and I came to New Zealand 4 years ago now, and when I first got here, I didn't know, like I didn't have a visa. I was just on a holiday visa, and I didn't know what was going to happen. But as I was uh, checking into the hotel with my now wife, the song Radioactive was playing. And to me, I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. This song's been traveling around with me for a long time. And it was just that this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing now. And it obviously has worked out.
Yeah.
So I always play that one. But yeah, I've got a few different ones that I'll go and have a little dance break for.
Yeah.
And this is my videos. Then sometimes it is one of the hockey songs, Canadian hockey, it just goes hand in hand.
I love it.
All right, son.
One of mine is Wow, but is Wow. That's one of the ones I'll if I need a little pump up, I'll go to that. And then the playlist Adrenaline Workout on Spotify is a great one. So random question from Dion. What's the best part about New Zealand, Tom?
It's a good question. It's quiet. It's safe. It's friendly. It's quiet. So from my house, I can drive 5 minutes and I'm out in the bush hiking.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love that. But people are quite friendly. You're upset. But yeah, it's a small version of Canada, just without the big animals.
Yeah. Awesome. Great answer. Good to know as well. Well, man, remember how I said at the start of the show we were going to look up and be like, wow, we're past the 35-minute mark and we're going into overtime here, and another hockey reference. So what I want to do is give you an opportunity quick to do a shout out about where people best can find you and what they can expect from you.
So best place to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm on there all the time. Otherwise, like, you can find me on my website, which is the Broxham-Network, which I'm sure Gene will post a link to that one.
We'll get a link up here.
What can you expect from me? You can expect my son will probably be behaving at the time.
Henry's been awesome. We've made it 38 minutes. Cannot complain about that.
You will expect that I will give you everything I can to help you out with whatever your networking needs are. I've gone through a lot, and I understand what some of the challenges are. And if it's not just that, it's a good sense of humor.
and those dance breaks.
Yes, even if I have to put myself through a dance break,
So time for the last question, Tom. We're going to hop in my time machine. We're going to go back 10 years. When I open the door, you get to give yourself one piece of advice. What would that be?
Not that one. Find a mentor. Find someone to help guide you through life. I think that makes such a huge difference. When I was in my old life of accounting, I never really had that one person to really guide me through things. But I think having that one person to help you out can make such a huge difference.
It's like it's an accelerator. Having that mentor to help guide you through some of that, that's a great piece of advice to share. All right. Henry, thank you so much for being so good today, buddy. We really appreciated that. And Tom, thanks so much for being part of this journey, man. Like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our connections and everything else. And the uniqueness to our friendship. So thanks for being here for episode 50. I look forward to bringing you back for episode 100.
I'm sure by that time I'll have a lot of questions for you. I could grill you with questions now, but it is your show, so
we'll wait for the parenting talk on another one.
Yeah.
All right. And to everybody else, thank you so much for watching. Dion, Mike, and Neil, I saw you in the comments. Thank you so much for engaging today, everybody. And next week on Wednesday, episode 51. Stay tuned to check it out. We are now live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can find us everywhere. Talk to you then. Bye.